Welcome to Biz Dev Live. I'm so excited to talk to you today about raising your standards. We want to make sure that we do this in a smart, which means a specific, measurable, attainable, right? Reachable, right? You want to do it in a smart goal way, right? You want to be able to track this thing. So we're going to talk about setting the bar high, seeking a better understanding of yourself, and getting into relationships with your eyes really wide open. So stick with me. I'm going to get into all of that. This has really been something that sort of popped into my mind as something that was really important to talk about in terms of how I understand my own relationships and my own agreements with partners and that sort of thing. So I think this is going to be a great show for you. Stick with me. I think I got a special guest popping in here soon as well. Stick with me. We'll be right back after the Biz Dev Live theme.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Biz Dev Live. This is business development, not even selling it.
So welcome to the show here. So we're going to get into it here. I recently did a disc assessment with my business coach, Lynn Rowe. And one of the things that we went through, in addition to personality types, and I'm displaying some SMART goals here. This is not DISC. This is SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. Right? You want to be able to track something over time, and that's how we're going to talk about raising your standards today. Because we can talk about just doing a little bit more, but that isn't really specifically SMART. What we want to talk about is how are you going to raise that bar for yourself and raise that bar for the people that you're working with. And so we're going to set some SMART goals today, right? So what does that look like? Well, as you are working with yourself and raising your own standards for what you do, you should be thinking about how you do things, how you operate. And Susan Castelli's checking in. Thanks for jumping in there. Talking about how you are going to measure everything across the board in terms of your relationships. And one of the big insights for me recently was like, I have a certain bar for staff that I work with. And it's really interesting that with the staff, I know where that bar is, but when it comes to working with vendors, that has not always been in place for me. I haven't always interviewed more than one vendor to get a service. And I think that is a really big deal. Your vendors, your partners, the people that you work with, that you pay money to, accountants, CPAs, all of these different people that operate within your business, they need to help you. And sometimes because of the barrier for entry, maybe there's a cost with meeting with somebody, we sort of take the first person that comes along into the conversation, and that's who we run with, right? So, really, really interesting. I want to shout out to Rick Gabrielli, who's jumping in here. Hopefully, Steve Spiro will get his video working here. He's in the comments in the backstage, so hoping he's going to jump in the show. We're trying out this Restream versus StreamYard, which we've been on. So If you're here, let me know where you're tuning in from. That's really a big deal. I always love hearing where everybody's tuning in from. If you're watching the show right now. So the idea here, raising your standards, right? So you want to set the bar high. And sometimes we set the bar high for one aspect of the business, but not necessarily for another. Maybe we set the bar high for ourselves. We don't set the bar high for our staff or the people that we're working with. So getting that bar sort of even level for everybody so that you have that same expectation of, I want people that are showing up. I want people that care about the business. And sometimes you say, well, they're never going to care about the business the way that I care about the business because I'm the owner. But there is ways for you to talk and ask questions of the people that you're working with and saying, hey, this is where I'm at. Is this something that sounds good to you? And having an open-ended question versus a yes or no. Interview questions always, right? You want to be in that place where you're talking to people from a place of, I need to hear what your actual opinion, thought, experience is. If you ask a question and it's a yes or no, it's easy for somebody to say yes. So you want somebody to layer some context in it. So, right. So that's part of setting the bar high, right? I'm asking people questions. I'm asking myself questions, right? I'm getting to better understand myself because I'm not just saying yes or no. Why do I want something? Why do I want to, get in here? So I'm going to bring my man Steve Spiro into the picture here. Let's see if I can get a view. There we go. There we go.
Cameron, how you doing, my man?
Doing very well, very well. So there we go. I think this is
there you go.
There we go. I got Susan Castelli checking in from Ontario. Amy is checking in from Rockland. Rick Gabrielli. Where's Rick Gabrielli live? He's in.
I think he's northern Westchester, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So Rick, you got to let us know because we don't know, right? It's always good. I love the background too, Steve. Very nice.
Thank you.
Got the blues going on.
Leveling it up, level it up.
All right. So we're raising our standards here today, right? And I'm talking about, having those conversations with vendors that are smart in the sense of, ask contextual questions. I also want to talk about relationships today. I know this is a big area for you. Scarsdale. Yeah, I thought he was in Lower Westchester. So I was like, Scarsdale. He's Scarsdale today, boys.
All right, Brother Rick.
Where he'll be tomorrow, we don't know, right? So anyways, talk to me, Steve, about how you sort of vet relationships, especially with like partners and vendors and people that you're going to work with, because I think, we can sometimes hold such a high standard for ourselves, right? And for anybody that hasn't met Steve Spiro, this is the Master Connector, Steve Spiro. We do a show called the Master Connector Show. Going to be coming back March 2nd. We're going to be talking about some workshops we do, a whole lot of fun stuff. So tune in for that. But Steve Spiro's here with me talk about raising your standards today. So how do you do that for your relationship, Steve?
It's a great question, Cam. I think I believe in vetting. In kind of everything we do, I believe we're always sort of vetting, right? And so, it starts with communication, right? On LinkedIn, if this is a relationship that I'm cultivating through LinkedIn or through networking, whatever, is this person communicative, right? What's the communication like initially, right? As we're setting up a time to meet, and of course, I'm not going to create a relationship unless I've had a conversation with that person like this on Zoom, face-to-face over coffee, depending upon the situation. I'm going to have a conversation, but in doing that, we're going to set up a time. And is the person responsive? Do they, if I send the calendar invite or vice versa, is there responsiveness, right? Is there does the person arrive on time? To me, a lot of those are clues early on in the relationship on whether it's something that is going to be a worthwhile relationship to me. Do they value the relationship, the potential partnering together, right? And then obviously the conversation. How does the conversation go? Are they respectful? I was on a call with somebody I'm not going to mention. I don't want to call this person out. I'm not going to even say what gender it is, but this person was extremely protective and I said, hey, I'd love to hear your story. I'll give you my story, and we'll go from there. It's kind of, I like to start because I want to know about the person, not necessarily about what they do per se. I want to kind of get to know the person. And this person was very, very guarded and skeptical. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. And I knew early on in the conversation is probably not somebody I'm going to be able to develop any kind of relationship with because they're so guarded. So to me, it's just those things, right? And of course, if there's a need on either side or the potential for collaborating, absolutely, right? I mean, Cameron, I know you like to throw out our initial dialogue, right? I think our first conversation was not on Zoom. This is pre-pandemic, so our first conversation was a traditional phone call, and I threw out a book to you, and you liked it and you appreciated it, and I think. Always looking to add value. And if is the person I'm looking to collaborate, are they adding value? Are they looking to just sell me? I never like to be pitched. We talk about that a lot on our show, right? Ditch the pitch, as Tina Campbell says, right? But are they looking to collaborate, and what's that look like? So those are some of the clues along the way. In terms of, it's kind of almost a vetting. I'm seeing how are they acting towards me throughout that interaction.
Love that. And I think one of the things that's really exciting, with me kind of wrapping my head around this, I did this DISC assessment. You've done the DISC assessment, right, Steve?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage people to do it with somebody that really knows it, understands it, and can walk you through it. Because it definitely was a lot more eye-opening to me, because I think I did it online or whatever, but doing it with Lynn Rowe and really get an explanation and going through some exercises and really going in depth a little bit with it, really kind of opened my eyes up to actually how to utilize it. Because, you say, you hear it so much, oh, I'm going to understand people's personalities so much. And well, it takes a little practice and work to sort of see that. And by seeing my own weaknesses and understanding what I don't like and what I do like, that sort of opens my eyes up on relationships more. So when you're having these vetting conversations that you're talking about, okay, is this person a high energy level kind of person or low energy person? Because if they're high energy, I kind of feed off of that. If they're low energy, they're kind of sucking me dry. They're taking me out. And so just knowing that piece of the puzzle, right, as you're stepping into a conversation is really important for the partners and the people that you're working with, so that you can level up. Oh, I want to be around people that are bringing my energy up, that are taking me here, or maybe there's this missing component that I'm looking for. I need this piece in my life, and to know that you're looking for that from the outset. And I think that's such a big deal too, is to be, smart. I was throwing this graphic up before, Steve, the SMART goals, right? So
sure.
Really just to, if you're looking for things, partners in your life, you're trying to go someplace, having some things that you're looking for. So I'm looking for a specific skill set, right? I can measure this skill set because they can do X, Y, Z in this amount of time, right? It's attainable because I'm not asking for something unrealistic. We think about partners that we've had that have this list or maybe friends that we've had that have this list of things for their spouse that they want to have. They got a, tall, dark, and handsome, makes $1 million, is a beautiful human being, is this a real thing or somebody that we're making up in a computer, right? Going back to weird science kind of days.
On that note, Cameron, right? I mean, I've heard it said that if you want to attract somebody in your life, and maybe it's a relationship, before you start with the list of who you want in your life, start with who you need to become to attract that person in your life, right? So that's an important piece of it. But I want to just touch on what you said before on the DISC.
Back to knowing yourself, right? So you can raise your
know
own
thyself, right? As they say. Yeah. But the what I want to talk about on the DISC profile, right? Listen, I tend to be, people are shocked. Sometimes I have people who are DISC experts and they ask me, I ask them what is my profile. And for those that don't know, DISC, D is driven, decisive, I is inspiring, sort of center of attention, life of the party, S is supportive, kind of people pleaser kind of person, and C is calculating, cautious, conservative, right? And so, Cameron, you're a high energy guy, right? You're probably more towards the I in terms of that
very,
disc.
very high I. I
Yeah.
got some. I'm just above the line on the D and the S, but
Uh,
very high
yeah.
I. You would definitely call me a high I guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're definitely on that high I side, right? But do I want, and I love working with you on the show because you have those qualities, but do I want my accountant to be a high I? Because high I's tend to be not detail people, right? They're not like really good. I want my accountant to be really detail oriented and I don't know if I want him or her to be super, out there and energetic. So again, there's going to be different roles, but I do find real value in the disc personality as far as what it helps you determine when you're looking to create relationships or partnerships or collaborate or whatever it happens to be. So just keep that in mind, right? Again, if you have a team of people that are all that one type of personality, right? Not so great.
No, and I was just going to say around, because I have such trouble on the accountant side, and I was always thinking, I need that detail-oriented person. I need that person that's very different from me. But I will also encourage people to look at it, and this is the way I'm looking at it. If I have an accountant that doesn't know how to communicate on my wavelength, right? No matter how detail-oriented, if we're not communicating in a place where we're kind of meeting up in the middle, then that's a challenge, right? No matter how good or detailed they are. And it's sort of, I understand that for hiring staff that I work with. So it's really interesting that I haven't always applied that to my vendor relationships, and I'm learning that. That's what today's show is all about, is understanding that bar goes, that raising your standard, that high bar goes across all of your relationships, your romantic relationships, your vendor relationships, your staff relationships, your friendships, right? This idea that you can expect a high level from everybody. And what do I mean by high level? Going back to SMART goals, right? If it's friendship, right? Maybe just that they care about me, and you can apply that across, all different levels, and you can measure that, right? If I phone them, do they return the call?
Right.
Yep. I mean, these are not high bars in the sense of, oh my goodness, you're asking for too much. These are attainable things, right? If I call a romantic partner and they don't call me back, that could be an issue, right? That could be a danger sign.
One of the classic mistakes that a lot of times companies have made over the years is when they're hiring somebody or promoting them into a particular role, they were really good maybe as technicians or some kind of tactical job function. But now they want to promote them to be a manager or a leader of a group, and they don't have those skills, right? So I believe it was Andrew Carnegie back in the day when he was hiring people, or I might have this wrong. Maybe it's Charles Schwab, or there's some famous names that I read in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And he talks about how companies will pay lots of money for people that know how to get along with other folks, right? And so there's basic people skills, right? You hear about mirroring and matching, and I think the disc is a great way people to see, if you want to grow your people skills, to see, okay, this person is highly energetic. Okay, it's not like they're unusual. If you're a C, high C, right? Heavily cautious, calculating, very kind of to yourself. If you come across an I, you're going to think they're out of their mind, right? But that's just the way they're wired. So now it just means that if you want to really work with someone like Cameron, you got to you got to move into that I quadrant a little bit more. So, but people skills, the ability to mirror and match and kind of relate to them, that is really the mastery to be beyond creating relationships and also growing your business, whatever that happens to look like. So those are some things that you want to keep in mind, Cameron, when you're looking to grow out relationships.
I love that. And I got some great comments here. I want to get to these comments because I really appreciate everybody kind of chiming in here. Vincent Mastriciano says, of course you didn't click with them. If you need someone to be open to feel comfortable doing business with them and they aren't an open person, you absolutely should not do business with them. You'll always be disappointed. And I think that, going back to what you were just saying about maybe I need, an I person, or at least somebody that can stretch into their I, they can figure out how to communicate. And it's sort of interesting as Lynn was going through the disc profile. She was talking about how people grow. Maybe people were never in the S column, but then they became parents, and so they pick up some of these skills that you need to sort of be oriented. Ask a child how they're doing, and going into this. Susan says never seen a high I accountant, right? Communications important. It's learning each other's loving language. Love that. Alan showing up here. Hey guys, good information. So, people skills are always a big deal. I talk about this a lot with the students that I work with the young people that I work with, that, no matter what kind of place that you're going into, these kind of communication skills. And I think this is what DISC talks to, but it's also what I'm talking to everyone about today in terms of raising your standards. In order to raise your standards, you need to be able to communicate your standards, not only to other people, but to yourself. Right? You got to be able to understand yourself better. And so that way you can step into relationships with your eyes a little bit more wide open about what you need to expect, and what is proper to get back in a relationship. And if you're not getting that, people talk about the entrepreneurship and, corporate sort of thing, hire slow, fire fast. And so I think that's really, really cognizant for all the relationships in your life. Take a little bit of time getting to know people, and then if something's not working out, cut that cord. Especially if you're seeing some real danger signs up in the beginning. You got somebody that, especially going back to the accountant example, you got somebody that's not working well with the accountant. You do not want that person in your finances for longer than than's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I want to just kind of chime in on the stepping up your game side of things, right? And I've had a mentor in my life, thank God, for many years. And he's very straight, right? He's very straight, doesn't sugarcoat. but he does come across supportive. So when I said to him, well, that's just not my nature, when it was like, I'm kind of a low key guy. He's like, okay, I get it. He said, you know what you need to do? I'm like, what? And he was sounding really supportive. You need to change, like that was it. Like, it's like, it wasn't like some heavy duty. It was just, you need to change. You need to be more. You need to be more than what you are. You need to grow. You need to stretch. And that doesn't mean you could change like the core being of who you are, but you could certainly get better. And I've learned how to live in the I quadrant some more, right? I learned how to live in the S quadrant, because those are weaker for me. Typically, I'm more of a D, C for those who know me, right? Most people, know me well, and some people might think a CD, right? Tend to be a little more quieter, right? If I'm at a party in a room, I'll be the guy in the corner on the wall, right? I'm not the guy in the center of the room, loud and so forth. I admire those people, but that's not me. So, but anyway, I've learned to grow and change, right? I've learned to become that. And again, it's about change. It's about being better. It's about being a tomato that's ripening versus a tomato that's rotting and dying, and always growing, always looking to be better. So just wanted to chime in on that, Cameron.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, one of the things for folks that aren't familiar with disc assessment and you're watching the show, there's lots of things that you can do to assess yourself and sort of get to know yourself better. And I think one of the things that you can just sort of simply assess yourself, which this started making a lot more sense to me as we were looking for it, high energy versus low energy. Very small detail oriented versus macro, you're a big picture person, right? And so just sort of seeing that from the outset as you're talking to people and getting to know that a little bit better for people is really important, because you can just sort of see right away where some of the similarities and differences lie. Susan says, ask another what their opinion is of a person. They all have a different perspective. That may bring you some light in the person. I dig that too, especially if you're feeling like you don't have a proper read on somebody, or you're seeing like, oh, this person's getting attention, but you're not seeing it, right? Like, what are you, I love getting that kind of other perspective in there, Susan. I love that as well.
Kevin, I want to just chime in on that. I heard this said one time. It's really good. If you ask a person and somehow you could figure it out in conversation, if you ask a person, say, let me ask you a question on a Saturday when you have nothing going on. You wake up on a Saturday morning and you have a choice. Do you want to do something? Is your first thought to do something, or is it to be with somebody? Okay, and then you kind of ask them, or you ask yourself, are they fast paced or slow paced, right? And based on that, you could figure out where they fit on the DISC spectrum, right? Because if they're fast paced, they're I or D. If they're slow paced, they're D or they're C. If they're people oriented, they're S and they're I. If they're task driven, they're D and they're C's, right? So now you kind of get a feel from those just 2 questions, right? Fast or slow, people or task driven, and you know where they stand. And now you could speak their language based on those things, right? If you know they're people oriented, you're going to start to talk about relationships and feelings, right? If they're task oriented, you start talking about things task related. If they are fast paced, you pick up the speed. You kind of talk fast like this, right? Or if they're slow paced, you kind of bring the speed down a little bit because that's their comfort level, right? So I've learned these things, and now again, the topic being picking up, stepping it up, getting it, leveling up. Yeah, just learning those skills and be conscious of them, be willing to change. You'll see that again, your relationships, your collaboration will grow exponentially when you can, continue to grow in that area.
I love that. I love that a lot. And I think I'm trying to get graphic up here, but anybody that doesn't know what the disc assessment is just hit us with a message and we'll definitely send it to you. Just hit us down in the comments and we'll get it over to you. Steve, thanks for doing this with me today. I love, we're trying out this Restream versus StreamYard. I'm still getting the delay in my video, so I still got to work that out, but we're leveling up, raising our standards all the time. Thanks for being here and raising your standards with us. Have an amazing day, everybody. I'm going to take us out with the Biz Dev theme. Steve, where can they find you?
Go to stevespiro.com. That's it. Or right here on LinkedIn, obviously. But stevespiro.com, you find everything, all my links, everything's there. Appreciate you, Cam. You're the man.
Rick, I'll just chime in. Rick here's terrific teaching, brother Steve. Just 2 questions to get their language. Powerful. Love it. Love it. All right. Have an amazing week, everybody. I am excited. Tomorrow I have Olivia Nunn on the show. And then Thursday I have the amazing Glenn Lundy, who's doing an amazing daily morning show with my man Ramon Ray and a bunch of big team that he's put together every day, and they're all across platforms. So definitely tune in Thursday for that. And remember, if you're into the Steve and Cam team, we have a show coming up on March 2nd. We're relaunching the Master Connector show. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. Susan Castelli says, you two are always awesome. Thank you both. Happy day. Thank you so much, Susan. We appreciate you so much. Have an amazing day. I'm going to play us out with the Biz Dev thing. Thanks, Steve.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live.